Hello, fans of the finally over 500 White Sox. They seem to constantly get up to 500 and then lose a game, win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose 2 games, win 2 games, just constantly getting up to 500 and then sinking down before finally crossing that mark last night, Friday night against Texas. White Sox are currently in second place in their division, behind the high and mighty Kansas City Royals. If the season ended right now, which would be insanely early, the White Sox would make the playoffs as the second wild card behind the high and mighty Seattle Mariners. Again, this is just really to illustrate that there's a long way to go. I do want to take a moment to celebrate how the White Sox got to where they are, which is, again, 1 game over 500. They have had to play some really decent teams. Cleveland is not so bad, not as bad as a lot of people are expecting. And of course, they always have good arms. Seattle is more of a for real team than I was expecting them to be. Lots of young talent on that team. Again, I think they're going to trail off in time, but they're not bad. They're not a terrible team. Angels are a legit playoff team. I think I would pick them to be possibly the division winner, if not that, getting in via the wild card at this point after seeing them up close. And then the White Sox had to face maybe the hottest team in the American League when they were at their hottest, which was the Boston Red Sox for 4 games in Boston, and they were able to split that set. So I think you have to feel good about that. Also, the White Sox have played 7 games at home and 12 on the road. So they've been doing this as road warriors too. Very happy that the White Sox get to come home and face teams like the Rangers and the Tigers. One stat I like to point out is that the White Sox have the 3rd best run differential in the entire game. They're behind only the LA Dodgers, who were fairly good, and the Boston Red Sox. We are tied with the Cincinnati Reds. White Sox have a run differential of plus 16, which means that we have scored 16 more runs than we've allowed. Done it in 19 games. We're the best in the Central, of course. The next best team in the Central, understandably, it's the Kansas City Royals at -1. We're the only team with a positive run differential in our division. Kansas City is at a -1. Cleveland is -3. The Twins are -5. And Detroit is last in all of baseball at a -33. And of course, the effects that this has on the playoff projections via FanGraphs are pretty drastic. We'll come to that at the end of the video, but it's really interesting to see how the FanGraphs predictions have changed just in the last week. In injury news, we've been without Lynn since April 18th, retroactive to the 17th. He's got a strained right trapezius, which is that muscle in the back of your neck that kind of comes down along the shoulder and then down the middle of your back into the middle of the shoulder blades. He is not expected to miss too much more than the minimum 10 days. He is expected to come back this coming Friday against Cleveland. Billy Hamilton was just reactivated from the injured list for his hamstring strain. In a corresponding move, Alex McRae was sent back to Schaumburg, our alternate training site. In the last couple of weeks, a week and a half, Jonathan Stever, Alex McRae, and Zach Birdie have each been called up at different various points to provide a little extra depth. Only Birdie has actually pitched, though, in that game, which was Lucas Giolito's worst game in a very long time. Birdie allowed just 1 earned run in 3 innings pitched. In that same bizarre game, Danny Mendick and Yermin Mercedes each picked up a 1 inning pitched. What happened to Lucas Giolito? I have no idea. Was he tipping his pitches? Did Boston just do a really great job of scouting? They are the hottest team right now, so maybe they're just extra locked in, really looking for that changeup. Time will tell, and we don't have to wait too long because he is scheduled to pitch on Sunday. And our fortunately final bit of injury news, Adam Engel's new ETA to return is now pushed back to May. We thought we might see him back around this time, maybe this weekend, but he suffered a minor setback in his return from a quad injury that he sustained at the end of spring training. The big question is, once Adam Engel gets activated, who gets sent down? The White Sox have a very full team of contributors at this moment. Danny Mendick might be a candidate. Billy Hamilton, who just got activated, might be sent down. I think Leury Garcia is also an option, even though his bat has started to pick up a little bit. And I don't want to say that there's any downside of a great defender and somebody that was an important member of the team last year, a playoff team last year, coming back. Okay, well, but the downside is that if Engel comes back, where is Andrew Vaughn going to play? I love how La Russa handled the situation last night. Andrew Vaughn started out in left field, played till the 6th inning. He got on base. He got a second hit of the game, and then was subbed out for pinch runner Billy Hamilton, who, of course, assumed his spot in the outfield. If the games could run like that, day in, day out, that is what I would like to see. I'd love to see that regular playing time for Andrew Vaughn. If Adam Engel is out there, that really does shore up the left field defense, but it's at the cost of giving Vaughn regular at-bats. He's a younger, developing player. He needs regular playing time. Does he stick around until the minor league season starts, and then maybe he gets sent down to get regular starts down there? I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm definitely all ears. Before we head into some of the downsides that are still lingering with the White Sox, I do want to give a shout out to the White Sox themselves. A friend of mine works for a suburban Little League team. I can't remember if he's the commissioner of the whole league, or if I think he's actually the commissioner of the league, but if nothing else, he's the manager of a team. The White Sox sent over a bunch of swag to give away to celebrate Little League's opening day. And you would assume that there'd be like pencils with White Sox logos on it, or maybe a banner or whatnot. They sent over some seriously awesome stuff for the kids to really excite youth baseball, get kids more and more excited in baseball. Among the things that were given to hand out freely to the kids, signed picture from Yoan Moncada and an autographed baseball by Lucas Giolito. So hats off for the Chicago White Sox for trying to promote and celebrate youth baseball to get kids excited in the game. The White Sox have been playing much better lately, but it's not all clear sailing. Yasmani Grandal had a great, powerful home run. I love that mic drop, bat drop that he does. He's still having a very tough start to the season overall. There's been a crazy amount of catcher's interference calls, which really adds to the pitch count for the pitcher. And I know I can sometimes be a little too hard on catchers because it's their job to catch the ball. It's the major leagues. You shouldn't have pass balls. You really should be able to get down and prevent some wild pitches, and he has had a rough go of it. I think even he would admit that. I am curious if his spring training knee injury is having an effect on him currently, if that's still a nagging issue that's preventing him from being able to be as mobile as he wants to be. That in mind, it's going to be interesting to see, does he and Zach Collins end up splitting time 50-50 for the foreseeable future? That could be an indication that there is something going on with Yasmani. At this point, Yasmani currently has 43 at-bats with Zach Collins at 31 at-bats, so it's already fairly close. Overall, the White Sox defense has improved, although they had no place to go but up as they were really terrible to start the season. The White Sox are currently averaging 1 error per game, which is tied with the Angels for the worst in baseball. I'm definitely a big fan of great defense, and the White Sox have finally had some awesome highlights to be able to show, and we'll be getting to those towards the end of this video. And Jose Abreu, he had a great 3-hit, 2-home run game against Cleveland, but followed that up with an 0-for against Texas last night, so he's certainly not completely out of his slump. Now, the thing that announcers are saying over and over again is, as the weather heats up, so does Jose Abreu. I wanted to take a historical look at his numbers, and as we see here, month to month, he starts out pretty good. Yes, batting average is kind of low in March, but still on base plus slugging in the 800s every single month of the year, and absolutely June, July, August, good numbers, with August being the apex, of course. Compare that to April of this year, and the month is almost over. Just a 205 batting average. That is far below his career averages, even for the beginning of the year. And a 695 on base plus slugging. I do think Jose is going to hit. I'm not overly concerned. Of course, there's a lot of great hitters around him, so even if he has a slower year, it's not like it's going to destroy the White Sox. But I don't want it to be taken for granted that just because spring is turning into summer, magically Jose is going to be right as rain again. I do like the lineup right now with Moncada batting third, Abreu fourth, and he's getting protection from Luis, who is really on fire. Then there's Yasmani Grandal after him, who is very cold, but then he's getting protection from Yermin Mercedes. Ideally, these great hitters around the slumping Grandal and Abreu will help elevate them. Our last, I don't want to call it totally a negative, but it's in the gray area and maybe on the darker gray side of the scale, is Dylan Cease. He's been an absolute paradox. He's a guy, as you know, I believe in very strongly. I think he has ace potential. He's a guy that has a big arsenal of different types of pitches and can throw in the upper 90s with his fastball. So he has just an unlimited number of tools, and at times he looks so dominant. But then at other times, his control completely eludes him. He's averaging over 10 strikeouts per 9, but also over 6 walks per 9. His ERA is 4.15, which is all right. His Sierra thinks he should be even worse at 4.86. And because of all of those pitches that he's throwing out of the zone, that really limits how long he can stay in a game. He has 4 starts so far and only logged 17 1/3 innings. He is averaging 4 1/3 innings per start. That is not what you want out of somebody in the rotation. You want this guy routinely pitching into the 6th or 7th inning. I think he's going to get there, but it's troubling to see that it's taking him so long to get going. On the good side, hitting, just in general, is improved. Clutch hitting is improved. That was the big Achilles heel at the beginning of the season. And as mentioned, Luis is hitting better. Moncada is seeing the ball really well. Nick Madrigal is finally really putting the ball in play like we come to expect. And of course, Tim Anderson is back from the injured list. His energy, his skill, his clubhouse persona just really provides a huge spark to this club. He is the engine that drives this team. It makes me think back to the 2005 season with Scott Podsednik leading off the game, except with maybe a little bit more personality and character. Another bit of good news and one of my favorite moments of the season is seeing Michael Kopech get a start. His first start since 2018, and he's looked so strong this year overall. And of course, he is pitching mostly out of the bullpen, so he didn't have his stamina up to be able to go 5-6 innings yet, but he still looked really great in his start. Overall on the season, he's got a 1.69 ERA with a 2.20 SIERA. He's only walked 4 while striking out 17 in 10 2/3 innings. And at this point, another of the feel-good stories that is easy to take for granted because it's become automatic. Yermin Mercedes continues to amaze. With a 4-hit game yesterday, his batting average is up to .429, on base plus slugging, over 1,100. He is just such a pleasure and such a joy to watch. This guy that we've seen toil in the minor leagues. We get a taste of his power in spring training year after year. Now we're finally seeing it at the major league level. And of course, the top story in the last week and a half, Carlos Rodon throws a nearly flawless no-hitter. Again, just another great baseball story, another great White Sox story, a guy that has toiled with so many injuries through his life. So many people were upset when he came back to the White Sox. Some of them are you. Shout out and give appreciation for Hiram Noon, one of the active members of our chat portion on our videos. He fessed up on his own. I was actually going to call him out, but he fessed up on his own for kind of bashing Carlos Rodon, being upset. And I'll be honest, I was not thrilled with the idea of him being in the starting rotation. But he fessed up and said, you know what? I'll take the hit. I was wrong on this one. I will too. I was happy to have him back. I wanted him back as a middle reliever, and when it looked like the White Sox were not going to pursue another top-of-the-line starting pitcher, I was bummed Carlos Rodon was in the rotation, but he has proven me wrong very much. And as exciting as that no-hitter was, to come back then on his regular rest after having thrown 114 pitches at a time when he didn't have his best stuff. He didn't have his control. He wasn't dominant. He found another gear to tough his way through 5 innings. And that just shows the level that he's at. Even if he didn't have his best stuff, he has the baseball know-how and just the physical makeup to be able to push the ball across the home plate, still rack up those strikeouts, and put the White Sox in a position to win. And it's great that the White Sox, in a very short amount of time, have had 2 American League Players of the Week already. Of course, Yermin Mercedes the very first week of the season, and then Carlos Rodon last week. It is an exciting time to be a White Sox fan. The schedule for next week, of course, we still need to finish off this series against the Rangers. White Sox will have a day off on Monday, which will give you all more time to get your picks to click in for the following week. I'll have a video out tomorrow about that and announcing last week's winners. Then the White Sox get to stay at home to face the Detroit Tigers, and then Cleveland comes to town. And according to you, on a poll I posted on Twitter, Rodon's no-hitter is your favorite highlight of the season so far. I think I would go into the minority. Yermin Mercedes going 8 for 8 to start the season was just so electrifying and so exciting. And plus, it was something that got to last over several games. That was so much fun. I think I would have picked that one. And if I were to make this poll again, I would probably add Michael Kopech's reemergence as one of the great storylines of this season. Now let's take a look around all of baseball again very quickly to look at the playoff odds update since April 13th. And again, I'm really only focusing on teams that have had a big 10% or more swing, positive or negative, towards their possible playoff odds. Starting in the National League West, the San Francisco Giants have surprised a lot of people, myself included, as they have gone from a non-contender to a 16.5% chance. In the Central, the Brewers went from a 50% chance up really high, about 65 maybe, to then settle down to 59%. St. Louis really hasn't done too much. Cincinnati has dropped off from around 33% to 19%. They are at the bottom now, with the Cubs finally getting some wins in, going from 10% territory up to 21%. There's really nothing exciting going on in the National League East, so we go to the American League East, where the Yankees have been falling. They started out as heavy favorites to win the division. They've dropped over 10%, though they are rebounding a little bit lately. Boston, they started as a non-contender and of course are up to a 52% chance. Whereas Toronto has been kind of up and down, but they're settling into being a projected third place team as things stand right now. Things have been chaos in the AL West, with Oakland going from about 0% chance up to 52. The Angels have been slowly sinking there below 50% now. The Astros started super high, dipped all the way to 50%, and then rebounded to go up to 61%. And then we finish off looking at the American League Central, where Cleveland has been sinking from 30% to 19%. Kansas City, as we see, they're leading the division right now. They started out around 15%, maybe a little bit less. They're up to 21.5%. Minnesota has been dropping. They, of course, lost some games to COVID rescheduling, so they'll have some doubleheaders to make up, but they've been losing some of the games that they have been playing. Just within this graph, they went from probably 65% to 38%. Meanwhile, the White Sox, and I think largely pushed by that big run differential, have pushed themselves past 50% to 62% and now projected to be the winner of the American League Central. Again, still a long way to go. One other player I should have mentioned earlier as a possibility to get sent down, or I guess it would be DFA'd in this case, is Jake Lamb. Again, I lived in Arizona when Lamb was an all-star, so in my mind, he's still this great player. But when he is playing third base, you absolutely see the difference between him and Moncada. Is Garcia better or Mendick better than Lamb at third base? I'm not really sure. I can't answer that one. But the drop-off between Moncada and Lamb is significant, and you really see it on this play on a grounder to third. I'm pretty sure Moncada would have fielded this and gunned it to home to get that out at home plate. Instead, Lamb ended up having to take the easier play going to first base, allowing yet another run to score against Lucas Giolito. Now, while we haven't had the opportunity to see Adam Eaton's cannon of an arm, if he still has it or not, we have seen him take a home run away. This over that short right field wall in Boston. Really a great moment to preserve the White Sox lead. And one of the great defensive plays of the season so far comes from where? Left field, compliments of Andrew Vaughn. Going back on a Michael Kopech pitch, you see Michael Kopech's reaction. He thinks it's out of the park. He's upset with himself, but Vaughn reels it in. Congrats to him. It's really been a lot of fun to watch Vaughn figure things out in left field. He hasn't looked perfect by all means, but nobody's expecting that. He is coming in an uncomfortable situation, and he's doing a really good, nothing else, a serviceable, but I'd say a little bit better than I expected at least, job out in left field. But really, probably the play of the year now, the final out of Carlos Rodon's no-hitter, and I'm just going to shut up and let this clip play. It's a really fun angle I hadn't seen before.
Cutter up with it, throw to first, it's a no-hitter! Carlos Rodon has no-hit the Cleveland Indians. The 20th no-hitter in Sox history.
The next video will go live Sunday night or Monday morning, and it'll be a recap of our picks to click, where you guys will make your picks for the next coming week. Until then, against these Rangers, play ball and go Sox.